Okay, so for our first little video in this series, we gotta do something, right? We gotta put words on the page. And if you can't tell, I'm using Visual Studio Code. That's what I'm gonna recommend to use. I already have my files linked, my styles.css and my script.js. CSS goes right here, and then I put my script at the end of the body. But yeah, no. So we are starting out with with nothing, with this, and I want to turn it into this. So our first step right here is gonna be, let's get this Tex and Tacos on the page. Uh, let's get this little menu right here where you can click and see everything. Let's get this on the page, and then let's start separating these into different divs, so that way when we do our CSS later, we know we have a little layout here already. And the way it's gonna work is this right here. This needs to be its own header. It's a standalone thing. And then we also have different groups for our content. We have this food, the menu group, and then we have this review section group. That's just to start out. So we have these two, and then in our menu we have all this. So just to start, we are going to make a div, and we're going to put this on the HTML, and we're going to make a div for all of this menu right here, and then a div for reviews. So to start out, let's head over to our HTML, and I find it helpful, especially when I'm styling, to use header and then body, footer, and my HTML. It's good practice, helps you stay organized. So I'm going to say header right here, and then a little, and then just P for our name, and it's Tex and Tacos. That is our little website. So have our header, that's our first section, and now we want our other two sections. So I'm going to say div right here, and then another div. There's our reviews. So I'm going to look back at my little blueprint here, and I want it to say tacos, burritos, and sides. So put three different things in here. I need to put a P first, the paragraph tag. So I'm going to say tacos, burritos, and sides. So save it, give it a little look real quick. We got this right here. And then I'm just going to make it an H1 so it just stands out, just so we know, just a little placeholder. I'm going to say review section. Save, pull this up and refresh. And so I have all this now, and if you don't know what DevTools are or haven't used them on modern Windows, I can press Control-Shift-I to open them up, or you can come over here to more tools and go to your developer options. So I told you and showed you my CSS is linked, so if I come over to the console, I had it type out console.log JavaScript connected. So this is where, if we have stuff going on in the CSS and we want to put it in this console, or have the, like, just say hello world, whatever, it comes out here. And then this is where all of our HTML is for this. And so if something's happening, we can say, okay, what's going on in our body, our header, which is our Tex and Tacos, and then we have these two divs, which we need to put in the main. I'll do that in a second, but I want to show you this. So let's say I need to mess around with something, I need to debug, and I don't want to edit my code, save and refresh. If you just got to do a little bit and you're playing with it to figure out what to type for your code, this right here, so let's say we're going to open our header, and now we can see all the elements in our CSS for the p tag. So we can click right here, and this will add a new style. We call it a new class, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to save it to your file. You'll have to retype it on the code. But let's say color, take off caps, color, so we can just see how it works. And let's say I like aqua. So do that real quick. Come over here, you can see it's aqua. And then just so we can get a visual idea on everything, I'm going to come to my div right here, click element style, border, solid, black, 2 pixels, and then for our div over here for the review, let's do another border, solid black, 2 pixels. Cool. So real quick before I go any further with this, I'm going to go and put all of this in a main tag. Okay, there that is. So now what we want to do, because I like to personally do a whole mental, I like to visually see what I am doing and how I want to get to this point. So I'll do every little step. But let's just make these two on our page just like that. Let's put them side by side. And the way to do that is with flex. So I'm over here in my index.html, and the way flex works, if you don't know, is it'll make boxes out of its child elements. And so if we make this flex, these divs right here are now their own child elements. It doesn't make a box around these, but it'll make a box around these. I'll show you. That's why border is a great little tool to have, because it helps you visualize. So come over here to my styles. I'm just going to say main, just going to say display flex. So if we see what this does, this might move and it might not. See refresh. Yes, so it now they're side by side, and the way it's doing that is because if you come to here on your dev tools, you see this says flex beside it now, and these two sections are side by side. So I want to border around these anyway. I'm going to put a quick border around them. So I'm going to okay, so right here I'm going to put a class, and for sake of principle and making our code neat, it's just a plain border. So I'm just going to say border right now for the class, because there's going to be other things that should have the same border for this, and there's no point to create two classes that are going to do the same thing. So we're going to give this a border 2, save it, come over here to our CSX. Oop, didn't want to delete that. And we're just going to say border and just border. Oop, solid black 2 pixels. So now we can outline these. I keep it open. Okay. Whoop, I'll save it. I need to put a dot, that's why. If it's a class, you put a dot. If it's an ID, you have to put a hashtag symbol, or the pound sign, whichever you want to call it. I don't know how old you are. But there we go. And so what we can also see with this border is the width and everything of our content. So like if you want to come down here, like this flex, it takes up the whole width, sure, but this border around our menu takes up this only takes up this much width. So now we have all this extra space. And for like on this file over here, they're displayed pretty evenly. So what that means is we want to come to our CSS and do justify content, and we're just going to say space evenly. Give that a save. Don't open that one. Open this one. Voila. Now they have the same margin around them. Or we're going to call it margin for lack of better words, but there's an even amount of space between these objects and space around them. Now that we have these kind of where we want them for right now, let's center this and give it a little background color. So because it's in the header, I'm gonna say header text align, and then just call center. Come over here, refresh. There we go. That's good. Let's give a bit of a background. So I'm going to say background color, and I'm just going to copy and paste it from my other file. I want to give the text a color of yellow, and let's also give it a font size so it stands out, and we don't have to come back to that. So font size, I'm going to say 36. Oop, no, 36 pixels. Okay, cool. So look at it one more time. And here it is. As you can see, there's this little gap around here. Every CSS file has, or every time you open up a index or a HTML file in the browser, it automatically has some of its own styling it'll do, which is how it has the font it does, it has the font size it does, it's why things are placed where they are, because it has some kind of styling. So I'm just gonna say this and then margin 0. This will get rid of the margin around the whole page for anytime you have anytime you have something like this come up, just do that. And so now what we want to do is look at our other file. Let's put this right here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we already play with the div, that's how we got these side by side, and now, or we already played with the flex, that's how we got these side by side. And so now let's do the same with the tacos, burritos, and sides, because these are going to be options that the user can click to go between our menu options. That's how they're going to be able to load them up. So come to here, and I'm going to call this one, since we already had a little clash right here, we just put a little space, and we're going to say menu flex. Save this, come over here, call it. Don't forget there's a period in front of classes. And so display flex, and then let's just do another justify content and space it evenly so it looks all nice and pretty. Okay, so now we see these are all pushed up just tight against each other. So one way that we can get some space in there, so let's just come over here, go to our menu options. Let's start playing with a gap. And a gap is just space between the different children in your flex and the parent element. So let's just start with, I like to use vertical width personally. So let's start with, I don't know, 5 vertical width. Okay, it's not too bad. So I'm going to come back, add it to my CSS, or my CSS file since I like it. So I called this menu flex. That's right here. Keep the gap, and I called it, let's see, 5 vertical width. Another good thing too is when you are editing properties of the CSS class in your file or whatever you want to call it. I personally, if I wanted to put a border in here, I'd keep all my flex stuff together, and then I might put like a little space in between here just so I know this. Now I'm doing a different style property in my CSS file. I just kind of want to, when I look at that class, be able to know exactly what's going on and what's doing what. Okay, so that's about it for this. Like I said, we covered flex. We got this basic stuff here on the page. In the next video, we're going to start playing with the JavaScript and add event listeners, because that's where the chunk of this course is going to come into play. So you'll be able to click tacos, burritos, sides. It'll show you, and we're going to start learning about data types, event listeners, on click, how functions interact, stuff like that. Because this, when it comes to the HTML, this is almost the bare bones right here. We'll add some more to the HTML as we go along with the JavaScript. But this is like right now, we're Gucci. We're good. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.